The NFL loves speed, and nothing celebrates speed more than the NFL Combine's 40-yard dash. But what does it really mean to be the fastest man at the Combine? And is it a curse that will haunt them to the grave? We're looking at the fastest players to ever grace the NFL Combine and what happened to them after. Some saw their draft stock spike, others went completely undrafted, and some went to prison, which is kind of a combine all on its own. It also pays to be fast there too. That's right, some of these stories will be bleak, and not just because they were drafted by the Jets. We'll look at the fastest times, who made the most money, and break down over a decade's worth of data and see who made a career out of it and who might be working for DoorDash right now. Plus, if you watched to the end of the video, I'll even give you something to consider the next time you're on the clock in your Dynasty Fantasy Football Draft. Welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus. That's Kevin. Join us as we get all up in the NFL Combine's historical hidey hole. First off, we should clarify that we're only looking at the offensive side of the ball, which is mostly running backs and wide receivers, and only the 40-yard dash. Because everyone knows you never run more than 40 yards in football. I don't think it's even possible. Let's start with the fastest to ever do it. Tiny wide receiver Rondel Menendez ran a 4.19 back in 1999. Yes, 4.19 on his first run at the Combine. However, Combine officials disqualified it because they said he was wearing the wrong type of shoe. When he switched shoes for the second run, he was recorded at a 4.24. A record that stood until running back Chris Johnson tied it in 2008. Then everybody called it Chris Johnson's record, which must have pissed off Menendez plenty. Johnson became the gold standard, the name hanging on the lips of stopwatches and steakhouses all across Indianapolis for years. It became a yearly quest to see who could beat Chris Johnson's record. And in 2017, it finally happened, when John Ross finally bested him with 4.22 seconds. He ran so fast he hurt his calf muscle, which, looking back, should have been a red flag. But never mind that. A new king was crowned. May he live forever. Or until 2024, when Xavier ran a 4.21, which was highly impressive, but he had to have his bones removed to do it. Can't have that stupid bone weight slowing you down. So the fastest 40 times recorded at the NFL Combine are as such: Xavier Worthy, John Ross, Chris Johnson, Rondel Menendez, Dre Archer, and Jerome Mathis. But did they get drafted? You bet your sweet bippy they did. Every single one of them. Chris Johnson was taken by the Titans in the first round. He went on to gain nearly 12,000 all-purpose yards, became the rushing leader in 2009, and made the Pro Bowl. John Ross was drafted in the first round by the Bengals, but he never lived up to his first-round status. He was injury-prone and never played a full season in his 6 years in the NFL. Dre Archer was drafted by the Steelers. He played 2 seasons and barely saw the field. Jerome Mathis was drafted in the 4th round by the Texans. He made the Pro Bowl as a kick returner in his rookie year. However, he fractured his foot at the Pro Bowl, and though he played for another 2 years, he never really made an impact again. The Falcons drafted Rondel Menendez late in the 7th round. There was little expectation for him. Having seen little action in the preseason, he pushed for playing time in his final preseason game with the Falcons. They finally put him in for a kick return, and he was immediately injured, suffering a torn meniscus, then placed on IR and then cut. He failed to latch on with other teams, falling on and off rosters, practice squads, and even NFL Europe. He never saw meaningful snaps. Chris Johnson was truly special on the field, at least for a little while, and he was paid that way. John Ross, on the other hand, made most of his money simply by being drafted in the first round, which is pretty common, as you'll soon see. The rest were relegated to special teams roles and paid accordingly. If you truly want to make a bag in the NFL, it's all about that second contract. So let's go back in time and look at not just the fastest, but the top 5 fastest offensive times from each year and see who turned big speed into big money. 2012, a pretty great year to start with. Every one of these guys got drafted, though I really don't remember TJ Graham to the Eagles, or TJ Graham at all. The Commanders, formerly called Twitter, drafted Robert Griffin III in the first round. In the 4th round, Lamar Miller was drafted by the Texans, and Travis Benjamin became a Brown. Outside of Graham, every one of these guys reached a second contract or more, playing an average of 9 years. But who's the big money winner here? You'd think it'd be a quarterback, but RG3 becomes the first on our list to suffer the curse. His rookie season earned him a Pro Bowl nod and Offensive Rookie of the Year, but it ended with him tearing his various alphabet ligaments. Then a disappointing second year, followed by dislocating his ankle the following year and then a concussion. He never came close to the big money from this group's winner. T.Y. Hilton. He played for 10 years and made $78 million. He was drafted by the Colts in the 3rd round. Hilton made the Pro Bowl 4 years, and he was the league's leading receiver in 2016. 2013 was less kind, and you can already see how unreliable a 40 time is when it comes to measuring a football player. Ryan Swope was drafted in the 6th round by the Cardinals and never played because he was friggin' cursed, and also because of concussions. Ontario McCaleb is a name I could have made up just now and you wouldn't know any better, unless you were Ontario McCaleb. McCaleb went undrafted but spent some time with the Bengals. Aaron Dobson went in the 2nd to the Patriots, and to call him a big fat bust would be an insult to boobs everywhere. He barely saw game action, was injured a lot, and washed out of the league in a couple of years. Tavon Austin and Marquez Goodwin were the big names of this group. Both played for 9 years. Both were good football players. Both made good money, and neither were considered consistent featured weapons. But it was Tavon Austin who walked away with $41 million. 2014, another good year for speed. All 5 were drafted. Dre Archer went to the Steelers in the 3rd round. DeAnthony Thomas went to the Chiefs in the 4th. The Cardinals drafted John Brown in the 3rd. He spent 7 years in the league and made good money. But it comes down to Brandin Cooks and OBJ. As of this recording, they're both still in the league. Over a decade now. Both have already topped $100 million in career earnings, but there can be only one in this random game that I have apparently created. And it's Brandin Cooks with $116 million. You are the Money Highlander. 2015, another year where all 5 were drafted. 2 in the 1st round when the Bears drafted Kevin White and the Colts took Philip Dorsett. J.J. Nelson went to the Cardinals in the 5th, and the Chiefs took Chris Conley in the 3rd. Most of these guys were awash at the pro level. Chris Conley was never a go-to guy, but he lasted 10 years in the league. Pretty good. The best of them all was Tyler Lockett. He was drafted to the Seahawks in the 3rd. He's excelled in his 10 years in the league and holds multiple Seahawks records, such as most pass receptions in a season, highest catch percentage, and longest kick return. He's been an All-Pro and made the Pro Bowl. He's also made over $89 million. 2016, Keith Marshall had the ideal size and weight for a running back, and the fastest 40 time that year with a 4.31. He was drafted in the 7th round by the Commanders, but he went on IR, then came back the following year and tore his patellar tendon. Will Fuller was drafted in the 1st round by the Houston Texans. He played 6 seasons and racked up 3,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. He went to the Dolphins in 2021, broke his thumb, and then just disappeared. I've never heard an explanation as to what happened to him. Aliens, maybe? You'd think they'd take Devontae Adams if they were starting a team. He made $34 million and was easily the most successful of this bunch. Colby Listenby was a 6th round pick by the Bills. He was injured during the combine and unable to finish much outside of the 40. Various injuries plagued him in the pros too and prevented him from a successful career. The Texans made Tyler Ervin a 4th round draft selection. Injuries derailed his career as well. Corey Coleman was a 1st round pick by the Browns, pretty well viewed as a bust. He bounced around the league a bit. Last I saw, he was waived by a UFL team and is considered retired. 2017, John Ross was all the rage after he broke Chris Johnson's combine record. He was a well-regarded prospect going into that draft, but there's no doubt in my mind that he jumped into the 1st round because of his 40 time. He was dubbed injury prone, but there were issues even when he was healthy. He requested a trade in 2020, which was denied, and the Bengals made him a healthy scratch for 4 games before they ultimately put him on IR anyway. He retired in 2023, then unretired less than a year later. He spent 2024 on the Eagles practice squad until he was released again in December and is likely retired again. Curtis Samuel was the best of this group. He's been in the league for 8 years and played for a number of teams after getting drafted by the Panthers. In 2024, he was on the Buffalo Bills catching passes from Josh Allen. So far, he's made $49 million. TJ Logan was drafted in the 5th round by the Cardinals. Josh Malone went in the 4th round of the Bengals. The 49ers took Joe Williams in the 4th, and KD Cannon went undrafted. The Jaguars made DJ Chark a 2nd round pick in 2018. He played for the Chargers in 2024. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has had an incredible career. He was drafted by the Packers and played with Aaron Rodgers. Then he joined the Chiefs to snag 2 Super Bowl rings with Patrick Mahomes. Plus, he's already made $25 million. Not bad for a player who's never come close to 1,000 yards or had double-digit touchdowns in a season. Nyheim Hines was drafted by the Colts in the 4th. He was a change-of-pace back who also played special teams due to his good hands and shiftiness. He wasn't a huge part of the offense, but contributed enough to get that 2nd contract. Unfortunately, 2 years later he was injured in a freak accident. When idling on a jet ski, he was struck by another rider. Jet skis. The silent killer. The resulting damage was a torn ACL and LCL in his left knee. He missed the entire 2023 season. Currently, he is not on an NFL roster. Saquon Barkley, maybe you've heard of him. He was drafted 2nd overall to the Giants before they ultimately decided to let him go because they don't like winning. I'm just kidding. They were not winning. Barkley was last seen holding a giant check in one hand and a Super Bowl trophy in the other. He's banked over $60 million so far and will probably end up closer to $100 million by the end of his career. 2019, everybody gets drafted. Yay! However, the big money only saw DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin, both north of $50 million. Metcalf is technically the winner here, but screw it, you're both winners. Andy Isabella was drafted in the 2nd round by the Cardinals. Paris Campbell went in the 2nd round to the Colts. And McCole Hardman went in the 2nd round to the Chiefs. What was with that 2nd round? All 3 made decent money, mostly due to their draft capital. All 3 saw work on special teams. McCole Hardman made it to the Pro Bowl and is a 3-time Super Bowl winner. And then we get to 2020. Denzel Mims was 6'3", 207 pounds and ran a 4.38. He came from a big school. He looked like the alpha receiver the Jets needed when they drafted him. Did I say Jets? He was a big fat bust and you can't even blame the quarterback situation, which wasn't good. But 3 years and he was out of the league soon after. So I guess his NFL career had 4.3 speed too. Henry Ruggs III ran a 4.27 at the Combine and was drafted in the 1st round by the Raiders. Ruggs signed a fully guaranteed rookie contract worth over $16 million. His rookie season was okay, just okay, but expectations were high going into his sophomore season. Unfortunately, on November 2nd, 2021, Ruggs was involved in a fatal high-speed car crash. He was drunk, driving over 125 miles per hour when he struck a vehicle from behind. The vehicle caught fire from the collision, leading to the death of a 23-year-old woman inside and her dog. Ruggs was subsequently charged with driving under the influence, resulting in death and reckless driving. He pleaded guilty and on August 9, 2023 was sentenced to a prison term of 3 to 10 years in Nevada State Prison. That's 9 combines worth of top 5 performers and the careers that came after. And I could keep going, but I won't because that would get boring, and also a majority of the players haven't achieved that 2nd contract yet. Plus, I promised more than just a trip down combine lane. I promised actionable information you could use for fantasy football purposes. So let's take our limited subset of information and ask the all-important question. What do the data say? Looking at the 71 fastest top 5 times since 2012, which is an odd number because there were some ties, if you were a good enough football player to get invited to the NFL Combine and run a top 5 40 time, you have a nearly 90% chance of getting drafted and making a team's 53-man roster. And that's neat, but it's hardly news. NFL teams love speed because it's something you can't teach. Much like crabs, you either have it or you don't. However, less than 50% of those players are likely to become full-time starters, with 22% likely to be gadget players or fill special teams roles. Just look to 2022's top 5 combine times for a spike in speed-related draft capital. Tyquan Thornton, Velus Jones, Danny Gray. None of these were talked about as top prospects going into the NFL draft that year.
It feels like a bit of a reach.
Yeah, real big reach.
Because he's not a true receiver. He has excellent return ability. He's a gadget guy with great speed.
But they posted ridiculous combine numbers. Tyquan Thornton went in the second to the Patriots. They traded up to get him. He was never a factor in the pros. The Bears took Velus Jones in the third. He never contributed significantly to the offense. Mostly he was used on special teams. Danny fucking Gray. The 49ers drafted him in the third. Career stats? 1 reception for 7 yards in 13 games. He was waived and joined the practice squad for the... Hey, wait a minute. Eagles? Does Danny Gray have a Super Bowl ring? If there is a takeaway from any of this, just consider this next time you're on the clock in your Dynasty Fantasy Football draft. An impressive 40 time or team investing high draft capital into a player might not mean as much as you think, which goes against everything I believe in. So, I guess I'm really just talking to me. Remember this, you idiot! Remember! Tavon Austin was a first-round pick with 4.3 speed, but you would probably have rather had third-rounder Keenan Allen with 4.7 speed on your team. Or more recently, fifth-rounder Puka Nacua over fourth-round speedster Darius Davis. I guess when it comes down to it, there's only so many things you can measure. Thanks for watching Shut Up Football. If you like stupid football videos, we got plenty. Go check them out. Like, subscribe, leave your comments below, say hi to your mom for me, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.